Welcome back to the AD 1926 video series. This is part 26. Last time we left off just before Sapulpa. And back in episode 68, I showed you the State Theater. This is in the downtown area. That was not there in 1926. Back then, you would have went to the Yale Theater or the Criterion Theater or the Iris Theater. The State wasn't here just yet. But if you walk in this downtown area, you definitely get a feel for 1926 Sapulpa. It's a coffee house right there next to the old city hall. It's an Airbnb now that you can stay in. And it was at the coffee house where the Sapulpa Times interviewed me for a story for their newspaper. And then across the street, next to their office, I saw the community piano. So I came back later that evening and came up with some ideas. And Travel Buddy level and 66 Club members can see that on Patreon. That evening I went to this tavern. It's called Pat's Place. Dates back to 1959, but the building itself may be the oldest in Sapulpa. I read that somewhere. Either way, there wouldn't have been a bar in 1926 with Prohibition, but maybe not officially. But I figured I'd show this to you just so you can get a flavor of downtown Sapulpa. Leaving Sapulpa on Original 66, we come up to a really cool bridge, the Rock Creek Bridge, 1925. So this is really giving us the flavor for AD 1926. Further up the road, I came upon an idling train. Not only is it a reminder that Original 66 is often near the railroad tracks, but that an idling train, not just a passing train, is a part of the 66 soundscape. There's no train today, but this is a railroad bridge. And we'll zoom in here and you'll see the date, 1925. Come back another day and there's a train sitting there. Come back yet another time, there's a train sitting there, different one as you can see. So you see the trains are part of the landscape, but as I mentioned earlier, a part of the soundscape as well. The next town we come to is Kellyville, and we're on Oak Street. This was the original 66. The newer 66 is off to the right. That's the one most people take. That's one with all the signs, but this is a nice little reminder of what the road would have been like in the first, 25 years or so of Route 66. As you can see, it's blocked off a bit, and also on the same street, a train. After Kellyville, you get Gaston, and then Jean, or Jean, I suppose, and then Heyburn. I'm not convinced that Gaston or Jean were ever towns. I'm guessing they were just having to do with the railroad. I don't know how much of a town Heyburn was by 1926, but by 1946, Rittenhouse said it wasn't really a town, just a railroad loading point. But In 1925, we know there was a store, Cotton Gin, some houses, and before that, there was a post office. So, another Route 66 ghost town, perhaps. West of here is road now called Old Highway 66. Sometimes it's referred to as the Tank Farm Loop. Coming up on the left, apparently, is an old station. The owner told me that where the flower bed is right there, that's where the pump islands were. But I don't know anything about the station. I haven't seen any historic pictures, but it would be interesting to find if they're out there. Coming up in the next episode is going to be the motor court loop. Wow, this is really cool because it's on private property. They let me on there, and so I got some great footage and an update from the last time I had video from the motor court loop.